You know, nobody asked. I'm gonna give you a tour of the shop today. So come with me on a trip down memory lane as I show you how my woodworking journey came to be. Let's go. Welcome to my shop. So as you can see, I turned my garage into my shop. When we bought this house in 2013, it didn't even have a floor. It was just dirt, so it's come a long way. Being that my shop is in the garage, the winter gets really cold. So I have my heater over here. We don't need it today. 84 degrees in here right now. I have this pipe here that it goes outside. And when we used to brew beer all the time, that was our water inlet for our brewing. So you would hook the hose up to it for our cooling process. And it would feed up into here, go into our coil, cool the brew off, and then it would pump up into here and go around to my gutter, which would go to my rain barrel. So we would reuse the water and we wouldn't just waste it all. So continuing on throughout this beer making station here, we just have some unfinished projects here. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with those yet, but I made them and they're waiting for inspiration. You have an idea? Send it my way. Continuing on, we have our sandpaper organizer. I got tired of all my sandpaper just being thrown all over the place in the shop. So if you want to see how I made this sandpaper organizer, check out the link in the video description below. Another one of my big passions and excitements in life is Zelda. My kids are super into it, so I've made them numerous Zelda shields. A lot of these tools that I've gotten, I've used them a couple times here and there. I've got 3 different routers down there. I've got 2 different circular saws, hand planers, belt sanders, so many tools. I've collected all this stuff from my dad, my stepdad, my grandparents, and then I've obviously bought a bunch of tools. They're all things that you need, but they all have a very specific purpose. And that purpose doesn't come up with every woodworking project. So sometimes they collect dust for a long time before you use it again. That was one of the first projects that I made on the CNC. I was just kind of tinkering with it, trying to figure out how everything worked. And I actually at the time didn't have a long enough bit. And I remember I had to reverse the image and cut it on both sides to make all these pieces come out. So that was a huge challenge for my first CNC thing that I made. So here's another thing that I made because I was tired of all my drills and tools being scattered about the shop. It keeps all my tools together and it makes it so that it's a little bit more organized in the shop and it's easier to find everything. The link for this video is going to be in the description below as well for that one if you want to see how that was made. And this is my miter station. I built this into the bench a long time ago. And then behind here, we got these from my stepdad, pre-filled with just random nuts and bolts and screws and nails and things. And this was my wood stove. I got that from a guy I worked with a long time ago at Home Depot. Chimney gets really hot. So this is the wood rack. It's just cantilever arms and it just holds all the wood that I have. I'll put a link for the rack in the description below as well. And my electric skateboard. We made that one too. Back in the day, I used to make skateboards all the time, and this was one of the first skate racks that I made a long time ago. It used to be hung from the ceiling in my dad's basement. I would clip it to the ceiling and slide my boards in and then swing them down when I needed a new board. And this door is a door that I put in because I was tired of walking outside to go to my shed. And then we have the Shopsmith. This thing, you can do pretty much anything on here. It has a table saw, a drill press, a bandsaw, the contractor's tool that they had forever years ago. So you only needed to bring one tool with you instead of a whole truck full of stuff. But I typically just use it for a lathe. And then we have my bandsaw. I remember when my dad bought this. He went out and bought it, and then the next morning when I woke up for school, he left me a note on my kitchen table and he said, "I got the saw." It was quite the exciting morning. Oh, it was great. We got this saw so I could start resawing pieces, because when I first started making skateboards, I didn't know where to buy the veneers, so I wanted to make my own veneers. We didn't have a dust collector, and I remember cutting the veneers on here, resawing them, and my dad came into the shop and he said, maybe we don't do that anymore because it had gotten so dusty in the shop. Every woodworker needs a bunch of clamps, so here's my clamp rack. It's got levels and squares and clamps and just kind of a hodgepodge of things all mushed over here to keep them on the wall and together. This was one of the first lights that I made on my CNC. I carved this all out, put some epoxy in here, put an LED light on the inside. I don't know where the remote is. I can't turn it on for you. Boom, see a little bit? Boom. And this is my dust collector. That's just the collection bin here for all the dust. I built myself a theme baffle on the top and then integrated my actual dust collector into my workbench here. So right here is the blower motor, and it sucks the air in, blows it out, and then I have a filter that I built in over here to keep all the fine dust from going into the shop. And then the table saw. I made this a couple years ago. It's really big, it's kind of bulky, but it's helped me out a lot. It's got some wheels on it so we can move it around the shop whenever I need it in a different spot. I have my fence that I built. Table saw is the tool that every woodworker needs. We have a kegerator. We used to have all sorts of beer going on here. And then it got to the point where we would have a huge party every year and we would make 30 gallons of beer, and we obviously needed a good way to disperse the beer. So I made this here kegerator. Look at this beer. I don't even know how old this is. Cherry and lime become best friends. If you guys enjoyed today's shop tour, be sure to give this video a like. I'll see you later.